Hello, and welcome back to Resilient Journeys, the space where truth meets tenderness and healing begins. I'm CJ, and today we're going to talk about a topic that hits deep: healing from narcissistic abuse and reclaiming your power. If you've ever dimmed your light to survive love, questioned your sanity, let's begin by understanding exactly what narcissistic abuse is, because until we name it, we can't heal from it. You see, narcissistic abuse isn't always obvious at first. It doesn't show up wearing a villain's cape. More often, it enters your life as attentiveness, and affection, until slowly, that warmth turns cold. What you're left with is confusion, self-doubt, and emotional exhaustion. But recognizing the signs is the first step to freedom. One of the most common and damaging behaviors you might encounter is gaslighting. This is where your reality gets twisted, where your memories are questioned, and your emotions are dismissed. This is where your reality gets twisted, where your memories are questioned, your emotions dismissed, and your instincts ridiculed. You might hear things like, "That never happened," or "You're imagining things." Over time, this manipulation chips away at your trust in yourself. But here's the truth. If it felt wrong, it was. Your inner voice isn't broken. It's trying to protect you. Another core feature of narcissistic behavior is a fundamental lack of empathy. While they may mimic concern when it benefits them, genuine connection just isn't there. Maybe you poured your heart out and were met with coldness, indifference, or even laughter. That's not a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of their inability to truly care. And then there's the control, the slow erosion of your independence. Of course, it's disguised as love or concern. It might start with gifts and praise, what's often called love bombing, but eventually turns into guilt trips, passive aggression, or silent treatment. This emotional whiplash keeps you hooked, chasing the version of them that made you feel special, even though that version never really existed. It was an illusion. Narcissists are also masters at avoiding accountability. When something goes wrong, somehow, it's always your fault. You're too sensitive, you misunderstood, or worse, you're the one causing the drama. This kind of blame shifting trains you to silence your pain, to apologize for having needs. But love, real love, doesn't require you to shrink. And perhaps the most disorienting cycle is the cycle of idealization and devaluation. One day, you're their everything, the center of their world. The next, you're nothing but a burden. You keep trying to get back to that magical beginning, but it was all part of the trap. That fairy tale version of them, it wasn't real. Love should be steady, not a roller coaster that leaves you dizzy, ashamed, and alone. Because the emotional and psychological toll of surviving this kind of relationship is real and lasting. The constant invalidation chips away at your confidence, often leaving you feeling like you're never good enough. You may catch yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, or asking for permission just to exist. But your worth is not defined by someone else's inability to recognize it. You are not too much. You are not too emotional. You are enough. And I want to share something personal here. Because for me, narcissistic abuse didn't start in adulthood. It began in childhood with my own mother. She was the first person who made me question my worth, not through overt cruelty, but through constant, relentless criticism. Comments about my weight, how I looked, how I could be better if. They'd chip at me piece by piece. There wasn't encouragement or protection or even interest in who I really was. She never took time to know me, only took time to judge me. Even recently, I still feel the sting. I asked her once not too long ago, "What do you expect from me?" Because I was being admonished for not doing more to help her. And I thought, after everything, why am I still not enough for you? The truth is, no one wants to go through life constantly criticized, especially not by the person who's supposed to love you unconditionally. She rarely showed emotion. She didn't care about how her words landed, unless it was front of someone from her social circle. Coldness behind the mask. Love with strings attached. Empathy that never quite arrives. And if any of that feels familiar to you, if you grew up believing your choices were always wrong, your appearance always lacking, your emotions always too much, please hear me. Please hear me when I say it was never your fault. That kind of scrutiny rewires your nervous system. You learn to stay on high alert, anticipating criticism before it ever lands. That's called hypervigilance. And even when you leave, that tension stays in your body. But healing is possible. Peace is possible now. Trusting others after that can be hard. When betrayal wears a familiar face, it's difficult to believe that anyone else could love you differently. But healing starts with rebuilding trust in yourself. You get to define what love looks like now. You get to trust your instincts, your voice, and your truth. After this kind of trauma, exhaustion becomes a way of life. Not just physically, but emotionally. The burnout from constantly giving, trying, explaining, and fixing, it's overwhelming. But the good news is, you don't have to stay there. You can rest. You can reclaim your energy bit by bit. But maybe the most damaging part is that silent vow we make to ourselves, not to speak up, not to cause waves, not to show too much. Because when you've been shamed for being yourself, staying silent feels safer. But staying silent to keep the peace only continues the pain. It's time to break that silence. It's time to speak your truth. Because your voice matters. Your boundaries matter. You matter. So how do we begin the journey back to ourselves? It starts with one small act of self-worth. Today, I invite you to try something gentle and grounding. Maybe it's saying no without feeling guilty, speaking a boundary out loud, or simply standing in front of the mirror and saying, "I matter, and I love you." Do it once a day for a week. Notice how even that tiny shift starts rebuilding what was taken. If today's episode resonated with you, please leave a quick review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Not only does it help others find resilient journeys, it helps me know that we're healing together. Until next time, keep honoring your healing, trusting your worth, and walking boldly in your truth. You are not what happened to you. You are who you choose to become.